Good morning, y'all. Hey. Man, it's been a while. It's been like a whole couple of days here, a whole week almost. Welcome, you guys. Welcome. My name is Nicole Maxwell, and I am extremely delighted to have you here with us today. We've got some different things going on here this morning, but we're happy that you tuned in. Because tuning in is part of the first steps towards skilling up and finding some new opportunities out here that may be waiting for you. So my name is Nicole Maxwell. I am the CEO of Black Multiverse Enterprises. I am the founder of the Blackverse Metaverse community, and I am also the CEO of Technical Consulting, the CEO of the Max Distro worldwide that is launching very soon. And I am also a proud member of the board of directors for the Black Business Network. My name is Nicole Maxwell, and I'm very happy to have each of you here with me today. Today, we're talking about our partnership with Google and our mission to educate and train. Black Multiverse has a mission to disrupt disenfranchisement in the present so that we can preserve possibilities in the future. And part of that, we have combined forces with Google and the Grow with Google program. We are a gold tier, high impact performing partner with the Grow with Google program. And I am very delighted to be able to say that. We are creating pathways to the future and pathways towards decentralized ways of being, or what we call Web3. And so we're doing that in a variety of different ways, and helping folks to get some skills is a part of that. The reason for that, some people go off to college and they enjoy a full course of college and stay in there for anywhere from 4 to 20 years or more, it seems like. But for other folks, college is not an option. College was not an option. And so then maybe they find themselves later in life, or they just did not get that same experience at college and found that it was not for them. Maybe they took a different path and went off and got married. There are a lot of different reasons why people do not have a full skill set. And, I'm just going to be honest. Another one of those reasons is because sometimes in college, people just enjoyed it a little bit too much. And so they missed out on the education part and enjoyed the fun parts, like the parties and the frat parties and kind of the sorority parties and things like that. And they were out stepping with the cues a little too long. But we have a lot of folks who are in different needs, or different ways different ways of being in need right now. And so, as you know, the headlines are telling us that we're in a state of recession. We are doing what we can to make sure that that people have skills to be able to negotiate better opportunities at work. If you are working for yourself and your business, that may mean a proposal. It may mean being able to position yourself in the best light as the best service for something or for someone. If you are a job seeker, that means being able to articulate your skills and being able to actually ask for the bigger bang for the buck because you can articulate your skills. And we don't want our folks to be left out in that. So Black Multiverse Enterprises is dedicated to making sure that we have some skills, and then what you do from there is definitely up to you. But we have partnered with Grow with Google. Today, we're going to be talking about negotiating like a pro. And what does that have to do with Google? So we are going to be using Google Docs to track some things, and we're going to be using Google tools to be able to quantify experience and to really be able to negotiate like a pro when it comes time for you to do that. So no matter what you're doing, whether you are a business owner or you are on the other side of it and looking to work for someone else, you may need at some point in time to be able to negotiate. And salary negotiations is one form of negotiation that we all should be going through, right? So if things are all equal and we're seeing these DEI programs get up and in place, then we will be at the table more often and be able to negotiate like a pro. So let's talk about what that looks like for us and for ourselves, for our businesses, for kind of everything as we go through this next hour or so. So the agenda for the day: negotiating what, when, what, where, why, and when. Steps for negotiating, confidence in negotiating, organizing, research in a digital document, aka Google Docs, overcoming bias, and then practicing negotiation. So we're going to discuss factors that affect your ability to negotiate effectively, like bias and discrimination. Those are really important. Like we all, y'all looking at me right now, we've had to deal with that. So we know what that means. Sometimes there are biases because you don't have red hair. Other times there are biases because you do. You have to have confidence in yourself to be able to make the ask, and then negotiate yourself into a better situation. We have seen reports of people being able to negotiate salaries with increases up to 50,000 or more, depending on what type of skill and role it was. There are something called pay bands. So if you're in one of these large corporations, they have a pay range or pay band that your position sits inside of. I used to create positions for these pay bands, so I know what that looks like on the other side. While they might be telling you that you are getting paid $50,000, the company has already said that these types of positions, we need to have 10 of them, and we need to have people with a variety of different skills inside of these different ranges, or inside of this particular pay band. And you have the leeway, and by you, I mean the hiring manager or the director of that organization or that unit has some leeway in what they're able to offer. So those are some really cool things that you need to be aware of to help you get to the type of salary that you're looking to actually obtain. Okay, so we're also going to be talking a little bit about, we're going to have a little bit of research. So we'll let you research what it's like to actually be in a position of negotiation, and the steps you should be taking for that. And then we're going to practice a little bit. Now, in my role as a CEO of multiple organizations, I have to negotiate all the time. Sometimes I don't come right out and say, okay, let's work this out. Sometimes, it's just a crafty way of saying something, knowing what my end game is in mind. And you don't have to be crafty, but you do need to have your end game in mind so that you know how to get to where you're trying to go. It's important to help people understand what it is that you want to say that can help you get to where you're going, because you don't know when that opportunity is going to hit. If something is actually going to hit you, if a door opens, you want to be ready, and you want to have the words ready to be able to negotiate yourself to success. Okay. All right, so let's talk about it. What does it mean to negotiate? I don't know. What does that mean? To me, negotiation means that you are coming to a particular space and time, and you are asking for what you want. And then, and really, the key that I have here is that you ask for bigger than what you want, so that you land where you want to land, right? So you shoot for the moon and land in the stars, right? Negotiation is when two or more people reach an agreement on a topic, a discussion, whether it's a contract or pricing. Usually one of those people has an upper hand or what we call the power in the situation. And another person is the advocate, and they're the advocate for themselves or for their cause, okay? And they're trying to get a fair deal. Negotiation includes that word compromise. Someone might not get exactly what they want, but in the end, both people are agreeing to the solution. So no matter what the outcome is, you both agree to it. You went into this knowing what it was. Negotiation doesn't have to be hostile, and it absolutely does not need to leave one person feeling like they were slighted or something like that, okay? The agreement is that it should be advantageous in some way to both parties. All illustrations for this particular presentation are from Moonbase. And so you guys can go check out Moonbase. And I guess that's a shameless plug for them, but check out Moonbase out there. And when you're looking to create your own slide decks with Google Slides. Okay. So that's a lot of theory. Let's talk about specifics. What are some things that you can actually negotiate? Well, the first thing that most people think about when they're negotiating is salaries, money, right? When interviewing for a job, the hiring manager is offering a salary to the candidate, and the candidate has to decide whether or not they're going to ask for more money. And then they're going to learn how they can make a case that they deserve more money. This can be at the beginning when you're first joining the company. It can also happen at various intervals throughout time. So when you are going up for a promotion or a raise, or your yearly reviews, all of those are opportune times to talk about salary and negotiate what that salary raise or increase is going to look like for you. Negotiating a salary for a new job is really important, but there are a lot of other things that may also be negotiable. When you're thinking about starting a new job, have you ever thought about the hourly rate? Yeah, you can negotiate that too. Even though it's an hourly rate, it definitely has a pay band as well. The increase that we talked about, things like your vacation time, your sick time, flex hours, remote work possibilities. We've seen that on a rise lately. A signing bonus, reimbursements for expenses such as your college tuition, your childcare, relocation, or even commuting. All of those things are things that can be negotiated in most organizations. Now, not all. I've definitely worked for some companies where it's like, no, we give you 15 days a year and that's it. But, you decide how long you're going to be working for those companies. And so that's the power of kind of having the skills that you have as well. Personal negotiations include, maybe you're here and you're not a business owner and you're watching and you're trying to, maybe you're not looking for employment. Personal negotiations include things like major purchases. So for a house, you're definitely going to be at the negotiation table for that. That's actually what they call it. A car, when you are going into that dealer, you put your very stern face on so that you can go in there and get the deal that you want. That's a negotiation. If you are offering a fee or accepting a fee for a service that's needed or service that you're going to be providing, if you're doing a proposal for your services, and that is more in the business lane, if you are looking for something like contractor rates or fees, freelance writing or freelance work, design, especially as we're talking about the metaverse, mechanics, lawyers, all those things can be negotiated or at least entertained for negotiation, right? All right. Finally, some of the smaller contracts that you're not even thinking about could include things like, your credit card interest rate, your rent. You can negotiate for smaller things too, like secondhand furniture, monthly fees for your gym membership. I was able to negotiate away a fee the other day for a domain that I needed to acquire. So, certain things can absolutely be negotiated, which is awesome. All right, we're going to talk about some different situations throughout the workshop, but I want you to notice that negotiation's not always about money. It's also about time, your quality of life, and other benefits that are important to you. Keep that in mind as you're going through any type of situation where you need to advocate for yourself, for your sanity, for your health, and for your personal care and well-being. For example, let's go back to salary. In salary negotiations, there might be extenuating circumstances for why a certain employer can't meet your request. Maybe they're very strict on their pay bands, or maybe there's budgetary limits. But if you ask, they may be willing to be flexible. Oh no, they may be willing to be flexible on some things you need. Hey guys, my battery's going to run out. I am going to grab that. We're going to go to a quick break. And when we come back, we will finish this up and we'll pick up right where we left off. But I don't want my battery to die. So give me a second. And we're back. Thank you to Artsy and VR for carrying us through our commercial break there. And I am back. I'm fully plugged in, so this thing's going to be charging here now. We're not going to risk that again. Okay, so let's go back just a bit. So sometimes you can negotiate for other things, and those things can be very beneficial to you. Sometimes you're going to meet employers who just can't budge on the money bit, right? So then that's when you can start asking for other things, like maybe you want to work from home, maybe you don't want to work from home, maybe you want some retirement benefits, or you want some remote work benefits that are not necessarily the norm. So you want that company to reimburse you for your breakfast every day, or for something every day. So you can do certain things that are going to be allowing you to negotiate, but you have to decide what you want to negotiate on. All right. So this concept, it applies to a whole lot of different situations. Your gym might be able to throw in a free massage, or heck, even a monthly smoothie from the health store if they can't offer you something like a monthly rate. So there's oftentimes, especially as the world begins to open back up, that people are willing to do what it takes to make you their customer, their community member, or obtain their membership, or join their workforce. Your next question might be, okay, well, why would I negotiate? Negotiations are not easy. Sometimes it can be a seriously uncomfortable conversation, and you just have to come up with the best tactics. But even then, you might not know what to ask for. It's still really important that you make an attempt, though, because that's going to help get you a leg up. The obvious reason for salary negotiation is that you can negotiate a higher salary. You're going to have more money, every pay period, right? That's true, but it's also not short-sighted. Think about the long game. When you ask for more money up front, first of all, that puts you in a good position to start off with this company. But let's say things don't work out, and you're now in a position where you have to go and look for a different job. That different job now has to work with you at a different level of pay. So you are now an employee who is at a higher tier in this pay bracket. And so you're seen as a better resource. And that continues to trickle down through all of the other career paths that you choose in the same lane. Now, if you hop lanes, then it might not be applicable. You have to kind of work to redefine what you're doing. But that is absolutely one of the best things about being able to negotiate a boost. When I was an implementation consultant and I was shifting into process management, I negotiated a $30,000 pay range or pay increase. And so that felt amazing. And it gave me a boost as an employee to one, I was very sticky with the company after that. You know, I was team us forever, but also it made me feel like the company valued me because they absolutely accepted my offer for negotiate after we negotiated. And they were able to really tap into to me as a resource, because from there on I really worked really hard for the company to make sure that the company looked good. So it was a win-win for pretty much everybody at that point. But there are also a lot of other reasons why you want to do that. So it's not just the company that you're working for, it's not just the position you're working for now. If you want to stay within that company and you want to reposition yourself, you're able to do that through a bunch of different ways using the salary as a starting point. So let's say that right now you're the manager of your department and you want to go on to be a director, or you want to go on to be a VP. You're able to actually negotiate from your rate, your starting point right now, versus where you would have been if you had not actually done that. This happens. This is important for things like overall pay increases too. So let's say that the whole company has a pay range increase. So everybody gets a cost of living increase, which we don't see those a whole lot anymore, but they do exist. So everybody gets a cost of living increase. Well, you get that much more because you're at a higher bracket, right? So let's say that they're giving everybody $5, you're now boosted up a little bit. So yes, that can have some tax implications that are not nice, but you do have the opportunity to really put yourself in a really good position. Your first salary is the mental benchmark for you specifically. So if a hiring manager asks you what salary you're looking for, you might just state that a lower amount is something that you're accustomed to getting paid you might just say a lower amount, right? The great thing about negotiating a new salary at a new job is that it's an opportunity for you to immediately increase your earning potential now and for in the future. Furthermore, if a hiring manager expects people to negotiate, they generally offer a smaller number up front, so there's room for movement. So think about that. Everybody else is negotiating, but you don't. And so you are stuck at the bottom. Everybody else came in $5, $10, $15, $30,000 more than what you are. And now you look around at the people you're working with. Who's doing the most work? Who's putting in the most work? Renegotiate your salary. Think about that, okay? Because that is really important. We're seeing wage gaps be revealed right now. There are wage disparities between women and men. There are wage disparities between the culture and the majority, right? So we want to make sure that we are in a place and a position where we know what we got to do and we know that what we can do, right? So a lot of times we have a meager mindset where we are only seeking to get in the door. And that's the problem, right? Like, we don't want to be in that situation. We want to be able to get up and come in at higher levels and be able to advance up to definitely higher levels. All right. Okay. Hey, Dr. Tammy Francis, it is always good to see you. You always support, and we are always delighted when you pop in. So, hey, and thank you for coming in today. We want to hear all about your power of negotiation, because I know you got some over there, because you do amazing things, and there is no way that you are not doing some of those things without negotiating your way to where you want to be, and I love it. All right. There are other reasons to negotiate. So persuasive skills are often cited by companies as some of the most important attributes in employees. What? Can you think about that? Like, What does that actually mean? So your company finds you extremely valuable if you can be persuasive. If you are on the sales team, that is obviously a skill that is definitely needed and desired, is the ability to persuade someone to accept a rate or to accept a product in a healthy way. Uh, being comfortable with negotiating can make you really attractive as a job candidate. So when you do put that light forward, again, it helps to see your value in many different ways. An event planner might also need to negotiate costs for things like renting a venue. So I've been talking to some folks who are in the event space quite a bit as we're planning for 2023 and the events that are going to take place, like the Blackverse Summit. What are we doing as that's coming up? We have to negotiate what that looks like. And thankfully, we're able to do that through Max Distro. So there's a lot of different things that we can do and ways that we can negotiate with folks as well. Okay, so how do you negotiate? Let's talk about that. How to negotiate. So let's talk about salaries. We're going to stick with salaries for now. Step one is to do your research. The best way to be prepared going into any negotiation is to research ahead of time. For example, if you are going to be starting a salary you're going to negotiate your starting salary at the job that you're about to accept. You need to know what other people in that role are getting paid. And you need to know kind of the average of that and have a baseline in mind. You can find this information in various different ways. So first of all, start by just searching, like, what do blah, blah, blah get paid in this field, in this state, in this role, right? You can find salary data that is often provided by hiring managers or even from employees who've anonymously posted their salaries on sites like Glassdoor, salary.com, Indeed, PayScale. All of those are different ways that you can search for different salary ranges. And so this helps for community leaders too. So often we're in a position where people are asking us for help, and it has nothing to do with the purpose of the community, but you want to be able to be a resource. If you are wanting to do things like that, you can certainly go out to those sites and check it out. One of the best ways to do that is also the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. So you can search for job information on Google and just search for jobs near me and jobs with the salary range of X, Y, or Z. And then that will help you to find job criteria, right? So what does that look like? But it also helps find the ranges for this position. For example, there was one city I was looking to move to, and I, again, am an implementation consultant by trade. So when I was looking to move to this particular city and I was negotiating a contract for me to move out there, I took a look at all of the different open roles for that position. So like, what would a company be hiring me if I were to come on and do this specific project for you that required me to actually move out of state? So I tallied up everything, but when it came to the piece for the salaries in that particular area, I realized that that wasn't an area I wanted to live in, and I certainly didn't want to move there because the salaries were very, very low, which said to me that there was some difficulties in growth, or it just wasn't a place where I could probably find other work if this didn't work out. So I took all of those kinds of considerations those factors into consideration. Now, when you're searching, you're going to use your job title, your location, your experience, and any special skills that you might have to help you narrow your search. That's going to help you get a really good idea of what the range is that you should be in for your role. But yeah, so I would also say, though, don't let that stop you there. Make sure that you're really looking at the company that you're applying for, especially if this is something more targeted. You know that you want a role with a specific company. That company has a history of hiring and providing very lucrative salaries. You don't want to limit yourself in that way either. You want to know what their pay band is. So that is a good question for your interview. What is the pay range for this role if it is not written on your actual job description or the role description for the job that you applied for? Another good trick for this, this is a newer trick, but it is definitely a trick that you can use. The state of Colorado has a law now that requires all roles to have transparent salary information on there. So what that means is that you know that a company in Colorado pays X, Y, and Z for the work you do. Now, you can take that range and then you can apply that to whether or not Colorado is higher or lower when it comes to the cost of living in comparison to where you are, and then adjust the range from there, okay, as appropriate. But it gives you a starting point to kind of really start to look at, like, well, what are companies paying for this? And there's a lot of other factors you need to put in there as well. But definitely think about ways that you can use information that's readily available like that and put it out into the world. All right, finally, you're going to make sure that your roles are comparable. Make sure that the roles that have come up are comparable when it comes to your experience, your education, and your background. So, if you've got 6 years of experience and you're comparing yourself to someone who's had the role for 12 years, you might be bringing additional different skills to a certain employer than someone else, especially when you start asking friends. So asking friends is another way for you to find out, like, well, what is someone else making in this role. Make sure that if you are talking to coworkers, that this is not against the company policy. Because if your company has a policy of that is anything other than transparent when it comes to your roles and things like that, and your salary information, then you can actually be let go because of that. So be very careful with how you approach that particular portion of research, okay? So most states have the ability to let someone go for or without cause. So just be mindful that if certain things get found out, then they can actually make that disappear altogether. Okay, we don't want that to happen to anybody as a result of looking for a better range of salary. Similarly, if you're looking for a new, let's say, apartment or rental space, you might want to negotiate the rental price. Of course, you're going to go out and you're going to find comparable spaces in your area. If this information is available, you can also look on real estate sites. You can talk to listing agents or to property management companies. And then that one, you can also ask friends. So if you have friends that live in a certain part of the world, they will be able to help you with this as well. All right, so next step. Ooh, my nose. Once you have a salary or a rental price in mind, you're going to figure out what you'd like to ask for. So step 2 is going to be clarifying your goal. What do you want out of this negotiation? Think about it. Do you want a raise? Do you want a new job title? A better price? What is it that you're looking for? When you've determined exactly what you're negotiating for, it's going to be easier to focus on the actual process. Break down your goal into 3 categories from there. Category number 1, what is your ideal outcome? In other words, what's your ideal salary or rent or monthly fee based on the research that you've done? Remember, this should be something that's attainable based on the numbers you've found online or those that you've heard from colleagues. Number 2, what's your bottom line? What is the lowest amount that you are willing to accept for this job? Or what is the highest amount that you'll pay for this space? Keep this number to yourself, but have it in the back of your mind so that you have it and you know what it is if the opportunity should come. Your bottom line should be an amount that you are going to be happy with, not one that will make you feel resentful. Think about that. So this is not the lowest of the low of the low. Your bottom line is the line you're comfortable at. Okay. You don't want to agree to a number that is going to force you to look for another job with better salary in 6 months. Make sure that the number fits into your personal budget and absorbs your personal budget, right? And number three, what's going to be your plan B? If you don't get what you're asking for, what will you do, or what will you do instead? So let's say that you want to negotiate a salary, but the hiring manager says that, hey, they pay every person with this same title and the same experience. And it's a very strict rule that we have, hard and fast. We don't pay anybody above this amount. As long as it's a number you can live with, but what's something else that you can consider asking for as a part of getting you in the deal? Always lead with that, right? Like you are the deal that they are receiving. Sometimes we get so worked up, oh my God, I got to have this, I got to have that, or I want to go work for this type of company, that you forget they are acquiring your knowledge, your skills, and your abilities, or your quesas, as a part of the deal. And so, what are you getting in return? Even if there is no salary negotiated, you are still being acquired by that company as a part of their team, as an asset. So, what do you get out of it other than salary? Think about that. Here are two good options for your backup plan. All right. So, number one, ask for add ons. What is something else that's going to improve your quality of life? If this is a job, you may want more vacation time. If this is, and that's a perfectly reasonable thing to negotiate if they're holding firm on your salary. You may also want to work from home 1 day per week. And maybe that's possible in your industry or in this organization. I actually did do that. As a part of me joining the company that I worked for, the software company that I worked for as the director, when I came into that position, I asked for every Friday at home. I knew I didn't want to work in the building that we were in, and I needed to be at home every Friday. So I got that. And that was one of the things that I asked for, and no one else did. So I made sure that every Friday I was at home. There is also tuition reimbursement. So think about your needs outside of work. Maybe you have childcare expenses because you're coming into the work and traveling every day. Maybe you are having commuting costs or retirement matching, something 401k. Maybe you are heavily involved in Web3 and you want to know if your company has cryptocurrency benefits. Will they pay portions of your salary in crypto? Do you want portions of your salary in crypto? Are they giving you ETH or Bitcoin? And then use that as a way to continue negotiating. Don't ask for everything you want for up front. You're going to ask for that as a backup plan. That's why it's called a backup plan, right? So be sure that you're coming prepared, knowing all the things that you do want, and think about what your must-haves are going to be from this list, right? Consider what's most important to you. And then after that, you're going to go after the best possible outcome. Then you negotiate what happens if I don't get the best outcome. If you have a new apartment with maybe non-negotiable rent, maybe ask the landlord to give you free internet. They ain't gonna do that. Also try thinking about like a free car space, because those things can be given away, or 6 months off of your dog or pet rent. Those are different ways that you can negotiate with your rental situation. Something else you can consider is asking for a contingency. Ooh, I like this one. So if you're asking for a raise at your current job, you can ask your manager may want to tie it to specific performances, right? So you can do the same thing, right? You are, again, an asset. So if I do X, Y, and Z, then how about giving me Fridays at home? Or how about if we achieve 500 million this quarter, then how about I get a to blah, 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 blah. Or I get to spend the week at the corporate office in Canada, or, certain things like that. For example, if you need to acquire a certain number of clients and then reach a certain sales goal, or a certain benchmark, ask your manager to reevaluate what it looks like that after that measure has been met. And you can do this with your salary as well. So maybe they say no, and then this is when you can ask for that contingency. Well, okay, I accept no right now, but can we revisit this in 6 months after I've shown that I am the best salesperson on your team and I can grow clients and keep and maintain them over the course of a series of events, or a specific quarter, something like that. If it's a new job, they might be willing to let you work from home once a week after you've been employed for like a year. So make sure that if these things are things that you're asking for, get that in writing. You want to make sure that you have the actual document that has it written down, what your salary is going to be, and also what your perks are going to be. And anything that you renegotiate or has a contingency on it, that needs to be in the document too. Do not accept no or accept we don't need that as an answer, because that is going to be your source of information and your ability to refute the fact that they say it never happened in the future. I have been there. I'm speaking from experience, and yeah, it's not a good feeling when they renege on something like that. So make sure you have the documentation. On the other hand, if you don't get what you want, whether that is your ideal salary or a flexible schedule or, flex benefits or something like that, don't forget, you have the right to turn this role down. Just because it's being offered to you does not mean that you have to accept it. Even if it is the perfect thing for you, just know that everything happens for a reason. And maybe there's something else down the road that will fit you better. You have to make that decision though. All right, once you have your goal in mind, you're going to move on to step 3. So think about that goal, close your eyes, get really serious on the goal, and then come on over to step 3. Step 3 is emphasizing the benefit to them. All right, now this step, you got to focus on what makes you a unique candidate. Why are you the best, and what are you actually bringing to the table? If you are somebody who's hard on yourself, stop it. Like, look around and compare yourself to the folks in the room at the time, not your own personal levels of awesomeness, right? Like, you have to be able to articulate why you're a good fit for this or why you are the person for this, right? So if you're vying for a new apartment, you might want to tell your landlord that as an employed professional, you'll always be there and available to go to community events. Or maybe you're less likely to move after the first year because you're already settled in the area and you already have ties to the community. In other words, you're going to be able to demonstrate why this is a win-win offer. You'll both be better off if you can compromise and come to agreement. Now, if you are asking your boss if you can start working from home part-time, instead of explaining that you really want the flexibility to pick up your kids from school at the end of the day, how about you transition that to, I'm so much productive when I'm at home from the office where coworkers can't drop by for a chat at any point in time. What if I just, once a week was able to do this and I can prove how effective I am when I am at home? Or, this building gets really loud during a certain period of time, or it gets really cold and I can't do that. You know what I mean? Like, think about how you can make it make sense for them. Don't lead with what your problem is, like why you have this particular issue, right? The same goes for securing a contract on a service. If your contractor is willing to agree, they can come in with a slightly better deal on today's project, and maybe you'll hire them again in the future. So think about that juxtaposition. So if you're able to give me $50 off, then I'll consider using you for the next project, which I already know is a pipeline and is twice as big as this one. Or, something like that that makes sense. You may need to do some research to find out how the negotiation is going to benefit the other person, but you might need to track your time for a couple of days in and out of the office if you're working on negotiating work from home privileges. One of the best ways to negotiate that, especially if you live in a major metropolitan area, is I save 2 hours that I could be spending working on projects by not going into the office every day or on Fridays. So like if traffic is really heavy, you might be somebody who's actually spending time in traffic. If you are somebody who is easily aggravated by you're somebody who's really easily aggravated by traffic, and it just stirs up some angst in you, then you might be somebody who would benefit from working from home. And so use that and say, I would just be in a much better mental state if I'm at home and I can have the serenity of looking out my window, or I can, be in my office and everything is quiet, or I can listen to a little music. If you are somebody who drives your coworkers insane, this is also a really good tip for you, because you might be listening to your music really, really loud every day at work, and you're impacting the whole entirety of everybody around you. And so one solution is to get rid of you. Another solution is to let you work from home. So think about that, especially if you're somebody who's really good at what you do, but you need that to help you keep going. That's a great way to negotiate your way back to working at home. All right. Okay, so when you're thinking about these things, like I said, you might have a couple of days to really figure out, to keep track of things as you're working from home. You might need to figure out who else will be competing with you for the work from home possibilities. So maybe there's, some folks who are in your realm who are who also want to work from home. Maybe you guys can get together and negotiate as a team or as a unit, to improve the situation overall. All right. So there is the secrets of success talk in terms of the other person's interest from Dale Carnegie training that provided us with this information today. All right, so supporting your points with data. So I talked about being able to acquire some information and what that looks like. The fourth step is being able to support your points with data. So you're going to be able to support your salary request and negotiation, but you might need to have data to outline the value that you are adding. For example, you could increase subscriber retention by 50%, and you also acquired 3 new clients every month over the last year, and you also wrote 2,000 words on the day that you worked from home. So those are the steps that you did when you were at home versus the 2 or 3 things you did when you were in the office, because everything's so chaotic. If you have a detailed resume, you may have these statistics already. So if your resume is like 10 pages, that's one of the benefits of having that very large resume. If you're looking to purchase a house, you can provide the owner with a letter showing that you're pre-approved for the mortgage and you can already afford it. This way, when you put in your offer, it tells the seller that you're likely going to follow through with the closing, and it might give them a little extra peace of mind, right? But thinking about things, I do 30% better when I can X. For me, that's playing music. For me, that's listening to the TV, and I can't do that when I'm at work with other people. All right, so we're entering into this phase of negotiation. All right, so how does bias work against you? Well, at the negotiation table, that absolutely can work against you, not in your favor. So let's talk about bias and how implicit bias can affect you during the negotiation process in a whole lot of different ways. Now, even if you are somebody who does not qualify or resonate as a minority or a person of color or a person in a special protected group, you need to pay attention to this because you're on the other side of this. And that means that the bias is something that you can inadvertently be giving off, because we all know people don't want to be that way. They can't possibly want to do those things, but they do happen. So be mindful of that as we enter into this conversation. This is for everybody. Implicit bias is a prejudice that someone has, but they may not be aware of it. Now, some people are definitely aware of it. We're going to talk about bias in salary negotiation because that is where the studies have been done. And it's important to know, though, that bias can be everywhere in any type of negotiation that you're entering into, just as a nature of being human. Let's start with gender bias. A commonly repeated statistic is that women earn less than men as a whole because they do not negotiate their job offers. Women, why? Why do we not do that? Why is that the case? Why is this a saying? Why is this a statistic? Well, because stereotypically speaking, women are perceived as disliking confrontation. And when you are perceived as a woman who likes confrontation, that is also a stereotype that's perceived in a way. This may be true to a certain extent, but it's also more systemic than that. Research has shown that hiring managers, both male and female, expect the men to negotiate, but they happen to dislike it when the women do it, because women who negotiate are seen as aggressive. Even more insidious in hiring is racial bias. Now, this is very true. There isn't as much research into the pay disparity for people of color as there is for women in the workplace. However, there is a pay gap between minority employees or employees who identify from the BIPOC realm, so Black and Indigenous people of color, as well as the gap between them and white employees. A series of studies from MIT showed that hiring managers expected BIPOC applicants to negotiate less than their counterparts. After the interview process, the managers reported that the BIPOC employees negotiated more despite white candidates negotiating equally. Ooh, that's deep. So this is saying that as a BIPOC person, you're actually negotiating more than the other folks do, and you're still being paid less. Black job seekers, BIPOC job seekers, ended up with lower starting salaries because they were perceived as pushier. Interesting. Of course, these aren't the only forms of bias, and people can demonstrate prejudices against others for their disabilities or differabilities, as I like to say, for their sexual orientation, for their religion, or for any other number of factors. All right, so let's talk negotiation. If you are a person of color or a member of an underrepresented group, how do you prepare for the situation? First of all, there's no fault here. We're not playing that game. The best way to avoid this type of bias is to seek out companies that are publicly equitable and they publicize their hiring practices. During your application stage, you should check whether the company is, in fact, an equal opportunity employer. Do they have a diversity, equity, and inclusion program? An equal opportunity employer is an employer that pledges to not discriminate against workers for their race, their color, their religion, their sex, including pregnancy, gender identity, and sexual orientation, national origin, age, meaning 40 or older, disability, or genetic information. And by law, these companies cannot ask you personal questions like whether or not you have children during the interview process. And that includes the negotiation stage. If an employer asks you something that is outrightly biased or makes you feel uncomfortable for any reason, it's a definite sign that you should walk away from that conversation. You should not continue into an environment that starts off that way. Okay? You are worth more than that, and your sanity is worth more than that. Another way that companies with bias-based hiring practices, another way to avoid companies with biased hiring practices is to network with your colleagues in similar roles. That way, you'll have a better understanding of the company, the culture, and the way the management is actually treating its employees, including their salary ranges. Again, the onus should not just be on you to change or to meet or narrow the expectations. If at any time you're feeling discriminated against, leave the meeting. It's okay to leave a meeting, especially with an employer that you are not working for. You can also file a claim with the Equal Opportunity Commission, the EEOC. Check them out, go to their website, look them up on Google, and make sure that you understand what is right and what is not right when it comes to some of these different types of interviews and these different types of negotiation practices and hiring practices. Okay, so all right, so next up, so those are a couple of different tips. I'm also going to say that when you are experiencing bias in a negotiation, it is time to put on your professional hat and really outline who you are, what you bring to the table, and the fact that you are confident in that. It is not the time to just simply get up and leave. You can if you want to, but it's a really good time to put forward the face of the people who are being discriminated against in such a positive light that there would have been no other reason other than that bias to negate your hiring or your negotiation and increase in the organization. All right, so let's move on, guys. We're going to prepare to negotiate. It's time to practice. So the best way to improve your negotiation skills is to practice. So that's what we're going to do now. It's your turn to prepare. So when we're talking about preparing, what are we doing? First, we're going to answer the question, when do you negotiate? So choose the right time. We talked about negotiating salary, but when does that actually happen? It's not wise to try to negotiate your salary during your first interview with the company unless the hiring manager brings it up. Wait until you've been offered the job before you start talking salary, and don't wait too long. If you've already signed a contract, it's going to be too late. Okay? Choose the right opportunity. Keep in mind that not every job or every rental agreement is meant to be negotiated. Sometimes they literally cannot. For example, some companies hire a group right out of college and they're paying them all the same salary. In real estate, some years are going to be buyers markets and others are going to be sellers markets. Some years are going to be sellers markets. If you're trying to buy a home at a time when there's a ton of other houses for sale, you're probably going to have great luck negotiating. If there's only one house available in a very coveted neighborhood like it is right now, it will probably sell very quickly. In that case, you won't have the upper hand and you will not it won't benefit you to negotiate in that way. Remember, your goal is to buy the house in this situation, so you may need to make some compromises. Finally, make the effort worth the payoff. You want to be respectful of the person you're negotiating with. When it comes to negotiating with a small business, that might mean they might be struggling because of economic circumstances. So use your best judgment. If someone has a consulting rate and that rate is set in such a way where you can't afford it, then ask them if maybe they can space things out and allow you to pay in installments or something like that. But devaluing that person's rate might not go over so well, depending on, who it is and what it is that they're doing. Don't haggle just for the sake of haggling. But if you're sure, if you're asking for something you genuinely need and want, then maybe that will come out on top. And just remember that it's not always going to come out in your favor. So prepare to negotiate. Let's practice. So how do you prepare to negotiate? Well, first off, you got to decide what you want to negotiate. Pick something that has a slightly higher stake, or that is important to you. So let's go with either buying a car or asking for a raise at your current job. The examples I'm going to use are about a new job offer, but please feel free to substitute the information that makes the most sense for you. All right, so here's the scenario. Close your eyes. Imagine you've been offered a job at a new company with a slightly better title than what you currently have. You're scheduled to meet with HR to discuss the terms, including the benefits. How do you prepare to negotiate for this situation? So take a minute and think about it. To prepare for negotiation, for research, you're going to be compiling this information ahead of time, and that is going to help you to frame your conversation as well as give you the data that you need to be prepared. I'm going to use my negotiation plan. I'm going to put it in Google Docs. You can use any word processing application or even a notebook, maybe even your phone. You can use whatever you'd like to, but it's important that you at least step through this at least once or twice. Use the scenario as a way to do that, okay? So we're going to go ahead and you're going to define one benefit for you for using this particular methodology. So grab your document, your phone, or your pen and paper. We're going to go over to Google, and so we're going to open up a Google Docs, and we are going to start up a new blank document. So first of all, you're going to want to log into Google. So make sure you're going to want to go to the little application icon in the upper right-hand corner next to your face, and then find Google Docs. Okay, you can also just type in docs, docs.new into your Chrome browser, and then give your document a title. Okay, so you're going to click on the top and change that where it says untitled document, change it to a title. Record some key details next. For a salary negotiation such as this, you're going to want to include information about you, your current job, your title, your years of experience, your level of education, your company size, and your current salary. And then you're going to want to record your related accomplishments in your document. So again, you can also, if you're doing this right, you can also pull this directly from your resume or from your LinkedIn. All right. This is probably going to be way more detailed than a resume, though. So go ahead and pull that out. Now, what is your unique value? Determine what your unique value is. Use your bullet points to organize some notes and outline what that unique value is. Now, if you're not negotiating a salary, think about the information that you'd need to record your specific scenario. So, for example, if you're negotiating the price for a used car, do your research on the value of the car based on its make and model, the year it was manufactured, and how many miles are on it, as well as its condition. Next up, you're going to start a Google search. So first of all, you're going to search for our scenario, you're going to be researching salaries based on the title that you're shooting for. Okay. So you're going to use keywords like sales manager in Chicago or college graduate and possibly mid-level. And that'll help you target and narrow your search. And then you're going to be able to go directly to a specific website like Glassdoor or Payscale to use their filters. Now, please note that you also might have to register or provide some demographic information in order to search for that data. So you do have to be a member of those sites in order to use them, but they are invaluable with something like this. Okay, now back to our document. You're going to want to add a header to your document for research about the potential job offer or another scenario, whatever that other scenario is. All right, so whether you're getting hired or you are applying for a new position or maybe a lateral move. Then you're going to fill in that information, all the details about it that you're finding online, right? So record the average salary for the position based on your research, plus any other typical benefits that you want to include. For example, you may notice that a lot of companies are offering signing bonuses or paid parental leave. Add those perks to the list. So what are all these other companies offering? What are some things that you're seeing out here in the industry? And then use those, narrow them down to the ones that you want, and add those to your sheet. All right. Now that you've done your baseline research, you can go and record your goals. Remember your 3 goals. The ideal goal or offer is 1. You're going to want to outline what your bottom line is, and then you're also going to want to outline the backup plan or any contingencies that you have. So make sure that you're able to do that. Type each one into the document. Here's what it's going to look like for a salary negotiation. For your goal offer, put the highest salary that you think is possible, but be realistic. If you're seeing in your industry, if the average that you're seeing is about $55,000 and you're expecting an offer of $85,000, you might be disappointed. So make sure that you are being realistic in the things that you write down. Type your bottom line offer. What is the absolute least that you'll accept with everything else being equal? Your benefits and your contingencies will likely affect this number, but it's okay to have a minimum requirement. You don't want to undersell yourself or your abilities, and this is not your starting point, right? This is the lowest point that you are willing to accept, and it's like not a win necessarily, but it's still something that you could work with for a while. Finally, the back. This is where you're going to record everything you would accept as an alternative to your dream salary. So start a bulleted list. Then type out anything that comes into mind, including your extra time off, an upgraded bonus structure, reimbursement for commuting expenses such as your train tickets, if you're catching the VRE every day, if you are being asked to work while you are in transit, that is an extra hour of work every day, even though you don't clock in or you don't arrive for the 8 hours. They're asking you for 9 hours of work. So be sure that those things are being noted when you're asking for a better title or a flexible schedule or additional pay. These contingencies are about your quality of life. Think about benefits that make your life better and don't cost the company as much as an increased salary would or come from a different bucket. Expenses that come from a different budget are extremely great, like HRs, and ERP, employee like an employee assistance program, EAP, employee assistance program. Make sure that maybe you have a friend who owns a spa, like maybe there's something they can do there. So think about those kinds of things, and make sure that you're able to actually utilize those types of contingencies to help you get to where you want to be. All right. So if you're doing a different type of scenario, you're going to want to think about things. So let's say that you are looking for a rental property. You could negotiate the cost of the washing machine and a pair of jeans. If in this specific situation, like let's say that you are renting a home and the washing machine is available, but in the store it's $1,000. Your research online shows 2 other stores have them on sale for $890. What's your bottom line? Well, you're willing to pay no more than $915 because you could get it for free or you could get it for $1,000 from that store. The backup plan is maybe the store would deliver the washing machine for free and would save you some money on shipping, or maybe they can offer you a discount on a matching dryer. Consider what a reasonable contingency plan could be in that situation. All right, so for a different type of purchase, let's say a pair of jeans. A pair of jeans is being sold in the store for $150, but you notice there's a defect on one of the seams. What's the bottom line? Well, I'm not paying more than $125 for a busted pair of jeans. The backup plan is that maybe the store will hem the jeans for you for free, in which case it brings them back up to par, perhaps. And that would save you money on the tailoring that you would need to do, even if you did buy them at $125. But keep in mind that you don't want to spend a lot of time researching things like that. For example, saving $25 is cool, but there's no need to research this for hours. You just know right away, hey, I'm not paying more than $125 for that. Okay. Whichever negotiation scenario you've chosen, put your goal offer in bold type and emphasize it. I also make this a lot bigger, so it's a bigger font, and I make it stand out, and I probably change the color of it too. Highlight the most important points in your backup plan so that you can focus on your negotiations. If these requests are standard with the offer or already met, you can move on to something else on the list. Similarly, if there is anything that you frequently see on the list that's listed on job postings as benefits, but they are not important to you, think about listing those as well. Then strike through them. That way you can remember the totality, you can quantify the totality of the benefits that you're receiving. Depending on the company, you might be able to trade tuition reimbursement, which you don't need because you're already a doctorate and you don't plan on going back to school, with regular travel to industry conferences. So that would be pretty cool, right? So you can leverage your expertise, and so can they. In this document in the future, to find this in the future, you're going to want to sign into your Google account. And so you sign into Google Drive, or sign into the account, go to Google Drive, and then search for the title that you named this document. All right, so the next step. So we're still in preparation phase, right? The next step here is that you are going to want to mentally prepare for the conversation. So sometimes this can be the most nerve-wracking part. Like, you've had to research, you've had to define your values and your goals and all that kind of stuff too. But this one, it gets you sometimes. You have to be ready to go when you are asked to enter in. So you've got your research ready. The negotiation isn't just about numbers, it's also about your mental game. A lot of times people, even those who know exactly what they want, they find this really nerve-wracking. And so that leads to not doing it. People just kind of avoid this. That's a mistake though. Just as you can prepare for your conversation with the data, you can also prepare mentally. So let's talk about how to do that. 1, be prepared. You're going to list out your talking points. So research, the research is going to help you. And now you're going to need to take that research and list it out in a way where you're preparing your talking. Write those perhaps in maybe a loose script so that you can begin negotiation. Now, this doesn't have to be something that you're memorizing or bring to the actual meeting. But outlining what you're going to say with a little bit of phrasing is going to help you feel more comfortable once that meeting begins. In a few minutes, I'm going to do some role play and demonstrate how this conversation actually plays out. So feel free to use any of the sentences that we're going to use here in a second. Step 2, recognize the worst case scenario and practice it. It is okay to be a little uncomfortable when it comes to this scenario. But what is the worst that can happen? You need to know that. So the worst case scenario for a lot of people is that the hiring manager rescinds the offer or just simply says absolutely not and laughs you out of the room and takes back and withdraws the offer anyway. That always is possible, but really, though, it's kind of unlikely. So as long as you're ready for it, you'll be okay. If your offer is grounded in your research, you are likely to fare better, right? Remember, they are offering you the position for a reason. They already like you and they think you're going to be valuable to the team. So unless you're on completely different page comes to the salary, the benefits, they're probably going to want to reach an agreement with you as much as you do, right? Number 3, identify your nervous habits. Know what you look like in that room. When we're uncomfortable, we often change our body language or our voices. We think about what it is that you do. Do you have like a slight twitch? Do you flip your fingers back and forth? Do you tap your leg? What is the thing that you do? Because we all have something we do because we don't have poker faces all the time. What is that one thing that you do? Think about what it is that you do, like tapping your pen, picking your nails, or speaking super fast, and then write an encouraging note to yourself. Remind yourself to breathe, slow down, and refer to that note during the negotiation. Like put it on the back of like your phone or on a sticky or something where only you can see it, they can't see it, okay? If you're somebody who likes to fidget, make sure that you bring like a notebook or a pen to write some notes. They don't have to know the notes you're writing. And sometimes that actually gets seen as a really good attribute that you're writing notes about what it is saying, especially with those instances of potential bias that we talked about earlier. All right, so we've prepared mentally. We've taken a short moment to woo-saw. And now it's time to negotiate. So let's go through a real conversation and see what that looks like step by step. All right. So before you go into the meeting, you are going to want to, make sure that you take a minute to collect yourself. Woosah is what I said earlier. Woosah. There's been a lot of research about how our body language can affect our confidence. So before your negotiation, try breaking into a power pose. Woo! What is it called in cheerleading? It's a herky. You can pop out a herky. Yay! Try it now. So you're going to stand up straight. Stand up really, really straight. Really, 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 really straight. Put your hands on your hips and hold your chest out high. Take a few breaths. And you're going to breathe. And that was terrible examples of breathing. I have asthma. So you're going to want to breathe. Don't hurt yourself doing that, but do something that makes you comfortable. And just breathe in and then breathe out. And have just that calming moment where you are feeling at ease. And then know, you know what, you got this. And tell yourself that too. All right. Demonstrate confidence when you're going into the meeting, right? So walk in with your head held high. Walk in with your eye on the prize, whether that's money or the benefits that you want, and know that they are going to come your way because you were calling them into fruition. So make that happen for yourself. You want to convey confidence, but you also don't want to like make the other person feel attacked. This is true, especially when you're negotiating over the phone. If it's over the phone, you can hear it. Like, oh, you can hear it. It's like, calm down. It's all right. Oh, this is important. So, a negotiation is a conversation. So, have a conversation. Start by saying thank you for the opportunity. Make a little bit of small talk if it makes sense. But if they only have 15 minutes, don't waste their time and don't waste yours either. You got negotiation to get to. So, let's do it. You want to reiterate your interest in the focus of the negotiation. So, whether that's, a new car or becoming interested in this position, reiterate that, right? Next, if you're feeling edgy or nervous, a little bit of small talk might make you feel like you're in a better space. A friendly chat can help establish some goodwill and also help you to relax. You might ask about the other person's weekend or comment on the weather. Now, sometimes this seems silly, but really it does help a little bit to show genuine interest in a person. That helps you to build a connection. Iterate how much you would like to join their team. You want them to know that you're actually excited about the job and that you want to reach an agreement that benefits everyone. Remember, this might be your future boss or your hiring manager, so you want to make a good impression. Be clear about what you want. If they emailed you the salary number ahead of time, you're going to know and add that into the conversation about what you want to talk about next. If they've only expressed interest in hiring you but haven't given you a number, let them, right? So you want them to start out with what they want. And they will force you into kind of putting you into a position where you have to tell them, but make sure you ask the question. So let's do a little bit of role play. All right. So at this point in time, if you're watching, pause the video and role play. Find a friend or phone a friend, like they say on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Phone a friend or connect with someone in your community or in our community if you're a member of our Blackverse community. Reach out and touch somebody. But actually ask them to help you with this. And that's okay. You can actually reach out to me. I'm more than willing to help with this also because I want people to get to the other side and be in a better position. Now, take a minute to consider the offer. Once they've made the offer and told you what the salary was, give yourself some time to think about it. Breathe deeply as you consider the offer. Where does it fall? Does it fall within your asking price or your asking range? Is it beyond your? Is it higher than your lowest, your minimum? Is it higher than your required minimum? That is one question you absolutely need to know, because if they come in and they're like lower than that, you don't have anything else to talk about and you can keep going with your day. It's a big decision that you don't want to make too quickly. Encourage them to speak first. You'll need a second to think about your next step. But staying silent can sometimes lead them to actually come forward and start talking. And once they start talking, they might start talking you right on up to like 30% higher than what you were thinking. All right. Silence helps keep you from seeming like you're too eager to make an agreement also. So that's really important. If they make an offer that doesn't match your ideal number, you might pause and say something like, that's not exactly what I was expecting based on my research. Or, oh, I didn't realize, I thought this was a premium tier company. What? Why would you say that? On the other hand, if they're asking you what salary you're looking for, it's fine to respond with, well, what do you have budgeted for this position? And I actually don't like the word budgeted. I don't want to say budget. I'm not a budget type employee. So when I am coming forward into something like this, what is the pay range for this position? What is the base pay for this position? If you're looking for something with a commission, like what is your starting range? And I am, especially once you're not a starting range employee anymore, once you're beyond that, you're in your mid-tier or your senior level, your director level and above, executive level. What is your starting range so that you know how low they go? And then follow that up with, okay, now what is the maximum for this role? And then, of course, you're going to say, well, I'm clearly in the maximum. So, how do we make that happen? So this is what I'd like, and then let them talk you down. You shoot for that high number and let them talk you down so that you don't start out at the bottom and get talked down even further than that, right? Okay. Now, if you're uncomfortable, that's okay. You're supposed to be. This is the person that you are negotiating with for your future. So this person needs to know that you know what you're talking about. You know your value, know your worth. Bringing that to the table at this very moment. Use neutral language. Don't accuse anyone of trying to underpay you or use the words like it's offensive. Don't say anything like that. Demonstrate who you are and why you are at that table. Demonstrate the value that you're bringing. Don't focus on what you think you deserve. Keep your language neutral, but not accusatory. Unless the hiring manager says something that is overtly sexist or even racist, keep and remain polite throughout the conversation, even if you know instantly that you are not taking this position. This is true when you're negotiating with customer service agents, potential landlords, people who, have an upper hand with you, but you always come with something, right? It's easy to become defensive if you think you're being overcharged or underpaid. Recognize that they are doing their job. Their job, they work for the company. And so their job is not to go out and find the highest paid employees of all time. Their job is to find the right employees and to find the best employees for the job. So why are you the best? Put yourself in a seat of control and show that, demonstrate it. Advocate for yourself because you in this moment are the person who needs to be advocated for. No one else is going to do that. It is up to you. Stay cordial. Okay. Now, we can talk about like the ideal outcome. The ideal outcome is that, hey, I got, a 20% increase or 80% increase over what I was going in there and get ready to ask for because I asked them to tell me what they were going to hire me at first. And I didn't accept the first offer no matter what it was. If their first offer is firm, though, come back with your contingencies and see what happens. Put it out there. What do you think would make a good backup plan for this situation for you? Put it out there. Tell us in the comments, no matter where you are, tell us what you would do. What is one contingency that you would put on an employment position that wasn't necessarily hitting your high when it comes to salary? What is something that you would like to do or that you would like to have? Mine was always working from home on Fridays. That was always what I asked for. And I continue to do that. Now I just work from home. So it is also very cool. All right. So finally, mentally prepare yourself for the idea that you might need to decline the offer and walk away. That's why we talked about that earlier. What, do you think we weren't going to use it? Of course we are. If you are not seeing something that you want to see when that table comes time to be seen, get up and walk away. If the company can't meet your minimum demands, think about that. That might mean that that company is not in a space to accommodate your needs as an employee as life goes on either. That might also mean that it's a culture mismatch, right? So you think about the things that you're asking for, the things that you want, and maybe you want to work at home and they simply do not. And so that wouldn't be a place that where you could probably thrive, right? So think about that. It is okay to find something that works better for you. If the salary a company is offering won't cover the cost of childcare, rent, then it might not be a good option for you. The same goes for a rental property that you're looking to acquire or a monthly fee for a service. If the cost is out of your budget, you don't need to put yourself through financial hardship unless they can work with you to find a way to make that work. And I'm talking about coaches and consultants now, because there's a lot of folks out here that have astronomical fees for certain things, and they know their value. They can bring you to the place where you need to be. But also, they might have a way to support you if you cannot accommodate that fee right up front. It's okay to look elsewhere for a different job, a different place, a different venue, even if that's something you had your heart set on. Even if that is not the ultimate thing, you are still going to be you, and you are still going to have the same value that you walked in that door with, regardless, right? Every decision is personal, and every situation is personal. Know your needs and what fits your needs the best. So let's recap. All right, we're in the wind down phase here, y'all. So let's recap. What did we do? Well, we defined 4 steps to negotiations, right? First step, you want to do your research. The second step, you want to clarify your goal, including your ideal number, your bottom line, and your backup plan. The third step is to emphasize the benefit to them. The fourth step is to support your points with data. Make sure that you keep these around, because as you are coming into different scenarios, you're going to need to negotiate something. And if you find yourself not needing to go negotiate something, that means that you are always getting the bare minimum. Some key phrases that you might want to use in your conversations are things like, are you willing to be flexible on benefits, or whatever else it is, right? Well, because of my experience and my education, that wasn't what I was expecting based on my research. What's the and don't forget the words pay band and pay range. So what is the pay band? What is the pay range for this particular role? And then also, I really appreciate you working with me. I just wanted to see if there's any way that we could make this work with blah, 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 blah. And then that's when you roll out your contingencies. Okay. Now, let's have an assignment. So let's negotiate in the real world. Now that you've got the tips and the tools to help you negotiate a major milestone like a job offer, it's time to practice those skills in the real world. But you don't got to go to a job interview to learn to negotiate in real life. Your assignment after this workshop is to start small. Pick something that's a low-stakes situation, like your sales price on a pair of shoes, the furniture at a gym, or a gym membership, furniture at a gym, used furniture, or a gym membership, or something else with a flexible price. Think about things that have flexible prices. Like, would you have thought that used furniture was a flexible price item, or that gym membership was a flexible price item, or that consulting or coaching was a flexible price? Think about things that are actually flexible, and then negotiate the cost so that you can participate and practice all of the steps that we discussed in this workshop today. This is going to help you to get more comfortable with negotiating when the situation, so that the situation isn't like an emotional turmoil for you. It's not something that's emotionally fraught. If you end up having to walk away from the conversation, it's okay. It doesn't matter because these are little things and they're not going to like break the bank, and it's not your whole future there. That's why you're practicing. Hopefully, you're able to experience the best possible outcome, getting exactly what you want. But if you experience the worst case scenario and you have to cancel your cable subscription, it's not going to affect life in a significant way. You'll try to get the negotiation, we want you to try out the negotiation process, but without the repercussions of something like asking for a raise or changing jobs. Get started. Don't forget. So a few ways that you can do this is to list out potential situations to negotiate, write a script, and then make a call. In the comments, tell me what you're going to negotiate first. After the conversation is over, I want you to reflect on the experience, something that you may want to record in your impressions in your document. What are you proud of? What could you have done better? And what actually surprised you? Did you surprise yourself? And then keep going. Do it again and again and again and again. Negotiate the next thing on your list, and then you'll see that you're starting to get more comfortable, more and more comfortable. So now when the time comes to negotiate that raise or that salary or that role, you are in a position of power. In this workshop, we learned what it means to negotiate, why negotiation is useful, and when negotiation is necessary. We discussed the basic steps to use when negotiating factors that affect your ability to negotiate effectively, things like bias and discrimination. You learned how to prepare mentally so you have the confidence to have the conversation. You've created a document to record your research into a potential situation, and you've included your goals, your numbers, your backup plans, and your talking points. You've probably learned a little bit more about yourself and helped to craft that actual next resume if you want to. You learned about avoiding bias in negotiations. We showed you negotiation in action with role playing. And finally, you received your assignment for practicing your negotiation skills in the real world. So we didn't actually do the role-playing piece, but I will tell you a really quick story about what happened to me this week. And so I am a baby domain investor. And so I have a whole lot of domains out here. And I called up, I realized that one of my domains, I had let it slip. And this domain is extremely important to me. And so I wanted to make sure that I kept it in the family, right? So I did not want it to go up for auction. And it was definitely in that time frame. I think I had a few hours to go. And so I realized that the domain itself was probably $9 if I had renewed it on time. However, I didn't. And so they were charging me $20. But because I was late, they were also charging me an additional $80 to retain the domain. So I called up and I asked them, I said, I did a little bit of what we did here today. I didn't research, I didn't do any of that. But this was one of those quick wins. And I just said, hey, I'm just calling to see if there's any way at all that you would be able to waive that fee so that I can acquire this domain today. And I said, I did not realize, and I set my alarm for the wrong day, which is actually what happened. I set the alarm for the wrong day. And so I was beyond the day that I wanted to be. And he said, oh my gosh, I understand. And he looked at what the domain was. He absolutely understood why I wanted to retain it. And he got off the phone and he's like, give me a minute. And he went and did whatever they do in the back end. And he came back and you know what? That fee was waived. And not only was it waived for that day, but it was waived all day. And so I was able to go in and renew some of my other ones as well. So it pays to just ask. You never know what's actually going to happen. And so just try to make the ask, make the request. And at best, it is going to get you something that you didn't expect or that you really wanted. they're going to say no. And you know what? When someone says no, that's not the end of the world. You still have someone out there who's going to be able to. So just keep going. So I hope that you enjoyed today's session with Black Multiverse and Grow with Google. You can continue and keep learning all sorts of things. We are live on YouTube. We are live on Twitch, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And we are, all of those things are possible through the power of Max Distro. Max Distro is definitely making sure that we are getting out there and getting seen, and that is what they do. We are also live on Pod TV, so hello to our Pod TV family. That puts us on Hulu, Roku, Amazon, and Audible, and in a whole bunch of other spaces such as Spotify and things like that. So I want to say thank you to everybody who's watching. But if you want to continue to grow with Google and you want to grow with Black Multiverse, you can go to blackmultiverse.live. And that is our YouTube channel. When we are live, we are always live there. You can also go to Grow with Google and go to the Grow with Google YouTube page. And that is going to be available at youtube.com/grow with Google. And every Thursday, there's going to be a new video there where people are providing tips, tricks, things that you can use to grow your skills, your careers, and your businesses. So check that out. Check out our replays. We are, again, at blackmultiverse.com. We are doing this every single Tuesday and Thursday from now until the end of the year. That is a part of our Grow with Google commitment to the Grow with Google family. And we are providing education and the ability to skill up. We are also providing career certification for our employees. So if you are looking for a sales position, if you are an expert negotiator, or you have some pizzazz that makes you a perfect salesperson, please do consider applying for the Black Multiverse sales position. That will open the door to you to be provided with a Google Career certification. Google Career certifications prepare you for a new career in 6 months, along with professional training designed by Google. You are able to participate in this with no experience necessary. You can learn at your own pace, and you can stand out to employers as well as use it for a path to some very in-demand jobs. If you are looking to start a new career or land a competitively paid job or build skills to grow your career, check out Google Career Certificates. You can find Google Career Certificates available on Coursera. If you are not interested in becoming an employee with Black Multiverse Enterprises, you can find this out on Coursera. There's a whole program out there that you can pay for and become a part of. You can learn at your own pace and complete an online program on your own terms. The certificates are available in the fields of IT support, project management, UX design, data analytics, digital marketing and e-commerce. And if you're also an employee of Black Multiverse, you can go for the IT automation with Python track, which is absolutely amazing. All right. Grow with Google is an initiative to help people prepare for work, jobs, and grow their businesses. Job seekers can grow their skills in order to find new jobs and advance in their careers. Teachers are able to put the latest technology to work in the classroom. Developers learn to code and take their skills to the next level. Startups learn to get their ideas, the exposure that they need to succeed. To learn more, you're going to be able to visit google.com/grow. All right. And so I want to say thank you to everyone who has participated with us today, everyone who has come to today's session or any of our other sessions. We always appreciate the whole family here as we take advantage of some of the skills that people don't necessarily think of, like negotiation. I am a proud Grow with Google partner, And my name is Nicole Maxwell. Again, I'm the CEO of Black Multiverse Enterprises, the founder of the Blackverse Metaverse community, and the owner of Technical Consulting, the founder of Max Distro organization, as well as on the board of directors for the Black Business Network. All of those things, I am saying hello to you, and I'm saying thank you for watching. I am also the hostess of the Meta Mind Shift Show. The Meta Mind Shift Show is going to be airing tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Pod TV, the Black Business Network, and it's going to be everywhere Max Distro puts us, places like Spotify, Roku, Hulu, Amazon Prime, Google Cast, Audible, and more. So if you are looking to connect with us, if you're looking to get your business seen in a different light, check out Max Distro. We have a lot that is available for you and a lot that is available to your podcast, your vodcast, your live stream, your clubhouse rooms, everything that you are doing. So definitely excited to be able to offer that as a new offering. And we are also on the blockchain. So if you want to take your podcast, your vodcast, or your clubhouse room and put it on the blockchain and make it last forever, we can absolutely do that and have some great storage options. I think thanks to storage and Skiff. So appreciate all the things that all these businesses are doing to help us succeed and to help us come to the other side, which is Web3. The power of decentralization is real. So I want to thank everybody again. If you are interested, I'm going to throw up some things here so that you can check out what we're doing. If you are interested in becoming a member of the Black Speaker Hall of Fame for 2022, there is still a little bit of time yourself to name. Just send an email to speakers@blackmultiverse.io or info@blackmultiverse.io, and we will get you the information you need to do that. This Grow with Google series is happening and has been happening from the beginning or the end of September and will continue throughout the end of the year. We are a Grow with Google partner. And again, we are very excited to be able to present this information to you and to the communities to be able to help folks skill up as we head into the end of the year. Again, join us Tuesdays at 6 p.m. time for the Meta Mind Shift Show. Meta Mind Shift Show is my show where we talk about the metaverse. The metaverse, because the metaverse is coming and it is important that we all get there and that we have a space and place for our businesses to get there. If you are interested in discovering the metaverse, we also have the Discovering the Metaverse conference that is happening. Also, you can register for that at metamindshift.com. This does say October 8th, but ignore that. That was the last one we did. That is going to be on December 3rd. So Saturday, December 3rd, you're going to be able to jump in and discover the metaverse. We have a 5-part series, and we're going to be rolling out the other 5 parts, or the other 4 parts throughout the beginning of next year. So this is the introduction. If you want to end the year on a good note, learn all about the metaverse, come through and connect with me and connect with my team, and we are going to lead you down the path of discovery. So discover the metaverse. All right, we are all done for the day. I want to thank all of our sponsors. And so thank you to all the folks who are making this happen. And again, thank you to Max Distro for making sure that we are seen everywhere. Awesome. And it is noon, so we're going to go ahead and shut this bad boy down. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for jumping in. This is Nicole, and my voice is